Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Awareness. I know you've all been waiting for it, excuse me, because you've asked for it. Now today, I'm going to speak about why people die, deficiency of their diets. And a funny thing, on the way to the show today, I broke a tooth, a cap, on a bread roll. Just tells you, dentistry isn't what it used to be. It brings me to the point that nothing is what it used to be. Our foods, our vegetables, our fruits don't have enough of what we need on a daily basis. And with the years of research that we've gone looking for the superfood, the perfect food, has just been extremely difficult, a tremendous amount of research. And I came across a man who created a product. The years of diligence and profound research that he put into it earned him the right to be here today and to tell you of what you need to have a perfectly balanced diet that is easily assimilated into the human body. So this man, tremendous knowledge on the body. I'd like to introduce you to the gentleman who brought in to us these newfound facts about nutrients in the body, Mr. David Sandoval, who's going to tell you a lot more than I could possibly tell you. Dave?
Thank you, Basil.
It's great to have you here today. I know you came a long way, and I know you lecture all around the world and the country. You're always flying around and running around.
Well,
so we're
nice
honored to have you here today.
Thank you.
Tell us all about our bodies and the great new foods that are available to us.
Well, I think, Basil, what most people are beginning to understand is that we have corrupted our food through the topsoil erosion, through the crossbreeding and hybriding of our seeds, through chemical cultivation, through irradiation, through any number of influences that in fact take the nature of the food, they take the strength of the food that builds the body, that rebuilds our ability to reproduce and to be strong and resist disease. The food used to provide us with a balance of phytonutrients that was capable of providing everything that the human body needs to thrive. Now, in today's world, we've seen an unprecedented level of death by disease. In fact, the General Accounting Office reports that over 80% of people who died last year died unnecessarily. They shouldn't have died, and they wouldn't have died if they had eaten a diet capable of preventing disease over their lifetimes. And I guess the question is, what is that diet?
You're the one who can tell us what do we need on a daily basis?
Well, you know, the food pyramid has been designed as a way of illustrating to people exactly what they need on a daily basis in order to provide their bodies with the necessary nutrients. Now, even if you tried to follow that food pyramid to the letter, it has some deficiencies. For example, it still recommends that you could get 20% of your calories from fat. Things that we've found can be absolutely dangerous if those fats are the saturated fats that actually lead to heart disease and other types of immunosuppressive diseases. And so what we have to do is carefully select the foods that we consume and make sure that we select from each category of food very wisely. And the categories that I'm referring to include the fruit kingdom, which has an amazing variety of powerful phytonutrients. Things like bilberries that have the ability to strengthen our eyesight. Things like palmetto berries that have been proven to shrink a male prostate. Things like the bioflavonoids in citrus that actually make our skin and connective tissue tighter. Things like vitamin C that we find in foods, not as supplements, but in foods. If we select the proper foods, we get abundant amount of those nutrients. The problem is, though, Basil, people don't typically eat the foods that have the nutrients that our bodies need to stay alive and to thrive free of disease.
So supplements are an absolute, we know it's an absolute necessity today to have supplements.
Well, I think that because of the proliferation of disease and because of the desperate nature of people's resistance to what they're feeling going wrong in their body, they go to a medical doctor and they're given medication. They're given medication that sometimes has side effects that make them feel worse than the disease itself, and oftentimes could lead to secondary and other problems. And so when you consume proper foods, at that point, your body doesn't have side effects, and it actually is able to effectuate repairs and, in fact, healing. The Chinese say that prevention is cure. In other words, if you do those things that can prevent disease, then that may also cure disease. But this is also true when it comes with food, that those foods that have been identified as having phytonutrients that could cure disease can also be used before the disease in order to prevent it. And so when we select judiciously, for example, the various food groups in grains and seeds and nuts and legumes, we find all of the complete proteins that the human body needs to build connective tissue and the immune function and reproductive function, to help the myelin on the nerve endings pass and transport information from our brain into our muscle tissue, which is important if we're going to have any type of coordination and any type of balance. These things come from essential fatty acids. Now, many people suffer from learning disabilities, they suffer from heart disease, they have eczema, they get any number of diseases, and these diseases can directly be related to deficiencies in their diet. And so we've broken down the human need into 5 specific categories, and those categories are similar to the food pyramid that's created by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. But these categories are actually more profound because they have pinpointed the very foods within, let's say, the fruit category. There's a wide variety of fruits, but the number of fruits that have the powerful phytonutrients is actually quite narrow. And when we examine the foods that we typically eat, that narrow band of the most phytonutrient-rich foods isn't in our typical American diet. Now, not just fruits, not just grains, not just green vegetables and yellow vegetables, but also the immune-boosting foods. We fail to go and seek out and consume these foods that actually rebuild the immunity, that restore memory and cognitive function, that restore the balance to the pH that's so necessary when we fail to eat a proper diet.
Dave, you have all the nutrients in your packaged stuff, everything that one needs. What is it actually that we need? What could we derive from taking all the various things that you've put out into the general public?
Well, the most important thing that I have tried to do is to travel all over the world and do extensive research to identify and to procure those very foods that have the greatest impact on the human physiology. See, foods are like a catalyst. And people don't understand how catalysts work, but a catalyst can be a tiny fragment of the whole and yet affect the whole so profoundly that the whole will be completely different after the catalyst has triggered its chemical reactions. Now, let me give an example that a lot of people here might understand. If you've ever seen movies like Baywatch or something and you see people surfing, and, well, a surfer will actually have to repair his own surfboard if a hole gets put in the surfboard. Either it hits a rock or it hits another surfboard or whatever it might be. And the surfboard would absorb all the water like a sponge and be ruined in just a few minutes. And so you take the surfboard out of the water and you repair it with resin. Now, anyone who's ever worked with the resin knows the power of a catalyst, because a gallon of resin will be a liquid from the beginning of time until the end of time, a liquid and viscous. With 3 drops of a catalyst, within 2 minutes, that resin, a gallon of resin, will be as hard as a rock. So you take a little bit of resin, you put catalyst in it, and you smear it over the hole on your surfboard. Within moments, it's hard as a rock, impenetrable by water, and you sand it down smooth, and your surfboard is like new again. Well, you see that the resin that was used would be liquid forever. It is only when you put 2 or 3 drops of catalyst that it is permanently changed. Now, food can have that effect on the body.
Let me ask you something that just 2 or 3 drops in a whole gallon changes the entire, so that's like 1 ppm, 1 part per million.
Or less, 1 part per million.
And I know our government often tells us it's only got 1 part per million or 2 parts per million. So it's safe.
It's insignificant.
It's not so safe. 3 parts, 3 little drops changes this whole thing. So 1 ppm is not that safe.
So when you select the proper foods, when you select the foods that have these chemical catalysts that we know as phytonutrients, and we take them on a daily basis, we could actually interrupt the incubation of disease. You see, disease incubates within the human body, and we may go and look in the mirror every day and not see a noticeable change, and thus be conned into the illusion that we are not sick, we're not ill, but on the inside, we're incubating this disease. It's becoming stronger, it's taking a foothold, and one day we become sick, but you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You see, then we're into disease treatment, and disease prevention is something that is a function of eating properly on a daily basis. Now, I have searched the world, and I have found over 100 foods, and I have put together a diet program that when you consume these 100 foods on a daily basis, you can live life free of disease.
And it's all in a tab, in a little...
No, not at all.
No.
There's no such thing as a tablet or capsule that will fix you. When you chew food, you create juice, okay? Absolutely. You don't chew food and create a capsule. You don't chew food and create a tablet.
Right, it just
you chew food and you create juice and fiber. The juice coats the mucosa. It flows down through the body, triggering thousands of chemical reactions. These chemical reactions would never and could never be triggered if it weren't for that chewing motion, the combination of enzymes secreted from underneath our tongue in our mouth sublingually activate the nutrients in our body and allow them to effectuate and carry out those profound changes. Changes that will lead to things like arthritis disappear, gastrointestinal distress disappear, ulcers disappear. Virtually things like cancer can be eliminated from the body. We've seen people with AIDS who have begun the eating program and have put on weight and had their T cells boosted immensely. We've seen people who are extremely overweight begin to lose weight rapidly, simply because when you eat the proper foods, your body goes into a state of perfect and natural existence, and that could include benefits that are unknown to people today.
I believe this. I've been taking these things and it's changed my life. Taking a daily routine, which is not always easy, but is necessary. You will get diseases and die eventually. And half the nation is. That wraps up this segment, folks. I hope Mr. Sandoval has given you a very good insight, because he certainly gave us a good insight. And I know that he has the most incredible products available. And these are now available to the public, right?
Actually,
so they can call us.
Actually, the products are available to the public, but only through, in other words, they're not widely available.
All right, so folks, everything is available if you look for it in the right place. And if you give us a call, we'll tell you how you can get hold of these people for more information. They'll tell you all about your health. Now, we'd like to take a break. We're going to come back with 2 more guests, and we're going to be talking about minerals, how badly the body needs minerals. We'll be right back.